There is a town in the middle of the world where nobody wants to go to sleep. Not because they're afraid of the dark, because they're afraid they won't wake up. Kalachi, Kazakhstan. Population 680. In 2013, something began here that no scientist, no government, no doctor has ever fully explained. And some of them stopped trying. Kalachi sits 250 miles from Kazakhstan's capital, in a region the maps don't bother to describe in detail. It was built during the Soviet era to house workers from the uranium mine nearby. The mine closed when the Soviet Union collapsed. The workers stayed, because where would they go? By 2013, the mine had been sealed for over 20 years, but something had started moving through the air again. It started with one man, then 8, then a classroom. They didn't collapse like someone fainting. There was no drama, no warning. One woman described it like being pressed into her chair by something invisible. As if the chair grew tentacles, she said, and pulled me in. You could speak to them. They would answer. But they were already somewhere else. And they would sleep for 2 days, 3 days. One man slept for 6. When they woke up, they remembered nothing. Not the falling, not the days, just a gap, a missing piece of their own life. Kazakhstan's government sent investigators, then more investigators. Over 2 years, more than 7,000 tests were conducted. They tested the soil, the water, the air, the radiation levels. Do you know what they found? Nothing. Radiation levels in Kalachi were lower than in downtown Paris. The uranium mine, the obvious suspect, showed no leakage, no heavy metals, no pathogens, no mold, no chemical agent. Every single test came back clean. One investigator said quietly to a journalist, "We know it is something. We cannot find the something. Those are two very different problems." The official explanation, eventually, carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons seeping from the abandoned mine, fluctuating with wind direction and season, accumulating in homes with old ventilation, causing hypoxia, oxygen deprivation, which mimics deep, uncontrollable sleep. A somnologist suggested something more uncomfortable: mass psychogenic illness. The mind so saturated with fear of falling asleep that it begins to enact the very thing it fears. The locals did not find this theory respectful. And then there were the theories that didn't make it into official reports, the ones passed between villagers in low voices. Soviet bioweapon testing, experiments that never ended, something in the earth that the Soviets knew about and never told anyone. No evidence, no proof. But evidence and proof are cold comfort when you wake up in a hospital bed and 3 days of your life are simply gone. By 2015, more than half the villagers had abandoned Kalachi. Their homes are still there, empty, but roughly 300 people refused to leave. When journalists asked why, the answers were not what you'd expect. One woman, who had fallen asleep 8 times, shrugged and said simply, "I fell asleep. What could I do? This is my home." 8 times, she had lost days of her life to something invisible and unnamed. 8 times, she had woken up, made tea, and continued. There was a kind of courage in that doesn't have a name in most languages. The Kazakh government declared the mystery solved in 2015. Carbon monoxide from the mine. They began relocating residents. Some went, some didn't. The mine sits sealed in the earth, 3 kilometers from what remains of Kalachi, and the official story says it is no longer a threat. The official story says the sleeping stopped. But scientists who reviewed the data noted something the government report didn't emphasize. They couldn't explain why some people in the same household would fall asleep while others, sleeping in the same room, breathing the same air, stayed wide awake. Carbon monoxide doesn't choose. Kalachi's sickness did. The last thing Daria Kravchuk remembered before her 3rd episode was looking out her bedroom window at the mine on the horizon. "I thought," she said, "I wonder what it dreams about." She fell asleep before she finished the thought. She woke up 4 days later. She never did find out. Kalachi still exists. As of 2024, a small number of residents remain. The uranium mine has never been fully excavated. The sleeping sickness has not been definitively explained. Stay by the fire and don't fall asleep.